questions of exactly the kind that you're asking. And the unfortunate fact is that it's only really in the last 4 or 5 years that people have started to look seriously into these implications. And I want to pay credit here to the vitally important work of my co-author, Robert Bauval, who is the discoverer of the Orion correlation, of the correlation between the 3 belt stars of the constellation of Orion and the 3 Great Pyramids. And it is also Robert who calculated the alignment of the southern shaft of the lower chamber with the star Sirius, which was considered to be the celestial counterpart of the goddess Isis. Now, it's this southern shaft that terminates, as I mentioned about half an hour ago, in a mysterious door complete with 2 metal handles at a depth of 200 feet inside the 6 million ton body of the monument, and every indication of a chamber lying beyond that door. It may well be that there are many, many chambers within this monument, not just 1 or 2, but dozens, possibly even hundreds. There's plenty of room for them, and you could well be right in suggesting that the angles and pointings of the shaft suggest places to look.
Graham, what does one experience when one stands within the pyramid?
Well, for me, it's above all else a profound sense of mystery and of the sacred and of an invitation. And the invitation says, know me, work me out, work out what I am. Don't just stand there awed, but figure me out. This is what the pyramid says more than anything else. It invites me to use my mind and to try and work out what it is. And this is why I feel Egyptologists have done us such a horrible disfavor over the last 150 years by telling us that they have all the answers and that we need not think about this monument. It was meant to make us think, and through thinking, through stimulating the intellect, it was meant to heighten the immaterial, the spiritual part of ourselves.
All right. First-time caller line. You're on the air with Graham Hancock. Hi.
Hello, Art Bell.
Hello. Where are you?
I am in Topanga, California.
All right.
I've had a very strange experience with fingerprints of the gods. Hello, Graham Hancock.
Hi. Hello. Nice to hear you.
Thanks. My cousin attempted to get fingerprints of the gods for me at Christmas time. She lives in Louisiana. She went into the bookstore and ordered it. She waited 4 months. At the end of the 4 months, the manager looked her in the eye and said, "This book is banned in the United States. You have to go to Canada to get it."
Good God.
Yes. Thought you'd want to know that.
Good God.
We went out the next day and bought it and disproved them.
Yes.
Do you know whether or not that book is banned by the Catholic Church? Because I know the Catholic Church is very strong in Louisiana.
I'm not aware of any formal ban on the book anywhere. The way that the knowledge filter works in our society is to generally discourage people in one way or another, sometimes by making books difficult to get from reading things. But
she may have run into a personal ban.
You may have run into a personal ban.
It was a personal bookstore ban.
It's quite possible.
Yeah, there's a new bookstore in town, and she can now get your books. You'll be pleased to know.
Good. I'm glad.
But I thought you'd want to know there's book police out there.
Yeah, well, there definitely are book police out there. There's no doubt about it.
All right, ma'am. Thank you, and I'm glad it's not a fully. But I mean, I've got copies here myself.
Yeah.
Wildcard line. You're on the air with Graham Hancock. Hi.
Hi, Art. Graham.
Hi.
I have a question here. If Moses was inducted into all of the rites and the knowledge of ancient Egypt,
yes,
which you believe is incredibly superior, it sounds like.
Yes.
Why do you think he left all of that and decided to go off and follow what he said at the time was the one true God?
Well, I think that all of these ancient Egyptian initiates believed in only one true God, and they saw the other gods, the reference, the whole concept of multiple gods in the ancient Egyptian system is entirely symbolic. And if you get down to the basis of the ancient Egyptian scriptures, you'll find that there is a belief in one and one only self-created deity, Atum, the god, the Genesis figure who creates himself out of nothingness, out of the primordial ocean, and who then creates all life. And all the other gods are simply manifestations of him. So there's no conflict within Egyptian religion with the notion of one God. Secondly, I think that Moses had a specific mission, which has actually been incredibly successful, which was to spread into another culture the germ of the ancient Egyptian idea, to carry that off and lead to its dissemination around the world. And through Judaism and through Christianity, an offshoot of Judaism, I don't think it's an accident that in Christianity we see many features of the ancient Egyptian religion. The figure of Christ. I'm sorry if this is going to offend fundamentalist Christians, but the figure of Christ is an Osirian figure, the once and future king, the king who is sacrificed, the God, the son of a God who is sacrificed, and who will return, who will come again. This is precisely the symbolism of Osiris, and I think that what Moses was doing was spreading this concept, this idea, into another culture, and through that culture it has filtered down and around the world in many different ways. But I think it all goes back to a common source.
All right, Graham, you likened the pyramid, the Sphinx, to an alarm clock. You talked of reincarnation and said that if you knew that you were going to be reincarnated, you would put something there to remind yourself, to an alarm clock.
To wake yourself up.
Yes. Do you think that modern man is now hearing that alarm going off, or do you think that we have reached over and we hit the snooze button?
I think we've been asleep for at least the last 2,000 years. But I do think that modern man, large numbers of people around the world are hearing that alarm clock. And that's why I feel that we are poised at a crossroads in the story of mankind. And that if we survive this period, then future generations will look back on our time, the time we're living through now, as a time of enormous creativity and a time of renaissance, of rebirth of the human soul. I think that there is an incredible awakening taking place all around the world. The only thing that I would urge people to realize who sense this awakening in themselves is to know that they must do the work. Do not expect initiation, enlightenment to be handed to you on the plate in some sort of second-rate New Age text. It is necessary to immerse yourself deeply in ancient traditions. People must be prepared to do the work. When they sense this awakening within themselves, they must also be prepared to work their minds and not expect to receive it handed to them.
Graham, many modern prophets, and I never know what to think of them, but I interview many of them, predict the possibility of catastrophic events. Many of them will say, these don't have to happen. Others have said, it is sealed. It's going to happen.
Well, I don't think it's sealed, but I think it's possible. I went into the whole issue of cataclysms in depth in my book, Fingerprints of the Gods, and I reported many of the ancient traditions, including those of the Maya, which speak of the coming of a terrible cataclysm. But what all of these ancient traditions, every single ancient tradition in the world that speaks of a former cataclysm and of the destruction of a great antediluvian civilization, all these traditions indicate that we ourselves, mankind ourselves, played a role in bringing that cataclysm down on our heads.
Yes.
And the suggestion is very strongly the case that if a future cataclysm will come, we ourselves will be instrumental in bringing it about, and therefore the possibility remains that we can change and transform our destiny, and that we need not confront a cataclysm.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Graham Hancock. Good morning.
Yes, I'm glad I got through. I'm Kay from Janesville, Wisconsin.
Glad to have you.
Thanks. I have a couple of questions. Well, actually, one.
All right.
It's kind of a two-parter, but it's all related. You mentioned earlier that you were afraid of the individuals that were going to be getting involved in this next, I don't know if you want to call it excavation or digging or whatever.
Yes, the expedition that is taking place at the Sphinx at the moment, and the plans for a similar expedition to be mounted inside the Great Pyramid for the opening of the door inside that pyramid. Yes, I'm concerned about the conditions that surround these projects, about the secrecy, about the hints of heavyweight commercialization, and about the possibility of a hidden agenda, and I'm concerned that objects and artifacts of enormous significance to mankind under these circumstances could be removed from those chambers, and that other artifacts could be replaced within them, and that we may never get to the truth as a result of this.
Have you ever read the book, The Celestine Prophecies?
But yes, I have read the Celestine Prophecies.
Okay, are you kind of thinking of something on that order?